cap space for the Dolphins. And I've talked a little bit about this, how I feel that one of the reasons why I love what the Dolphins are doing is the front office. And while people don't want to give Tua his respect or Chris Greer his respect or anything along or the team its respect, I am a big fan of the way Chris Greer has really redesigned this team, restructured this team, rebuilt this team, found a head coach. I love the fact that they try to create deals that don't cripple them in a long-term basis. They try to get out of it. And I think the key to all of this is, and some of you out there, I still laugh at you because you really don't look at it the way you're supposed to look at it, right? Because some of you out there, I would always get this story. Well, Greer's been there for 15, 20 years. He's part of the problem, not the solution. I can't believe they hired him. Meanwhile, they never took his word. He was just doing it, filing his reports. He never drafted anybody. He never made any decisions on free agents, on the draft, up until a couple of years ago that they started giving him leeway in the draft. And now, 2 years ago, he now controls everything: the draft, free agency, coaching, you name it. He makes the call on all, right? And I try to explain to people that if they kept him around for 15 or 20 years and every regime change that came, all your reports are on hard drives. They know exactly who wrote this, who wrote that, who liked this player, who didn't like this player. So obviously, Chris Greer must have been giving good advice to every other guy that was there because every guy kept him. So now he takes over, and it looks like he already found his coach. I think Tua this year will prove that he found the quarterback. So he's going to become historic already in Dolphin lore because they've never, ever had a GM that found his own coach and his own quarterback. Think about that. Shula doesn't count because Shula was the coach and the GM. But think about that. Outside, and even Jimmy was the coach and the GM, but Jimmy couldn't find a quarterback. And then everybody else that's followed after, they've never been able to find their own coach and quarterback as a GM. So that he already did that. He cleaned up the cap. Even when he made free agent moves, he was able to get out of them quickly. So now comes the story, and whether you read Barry Jackson or another one nationally, didn't matter, but they have the opportunity of having 70, 80, maybe even more, 90 million they could have, 100 million they could have in cap space next year. And that's why, and think about all the draft picks they've had. And this is why I've told you over and over again, they're not going to be like these enormous players in free agency. They're about drafting preferred, developing their own, and then keeping their own and letting some go and continue with the compensatory picks, which should maybe next year you'll start to, add those kind of things if you start losing players that you drafted or sign in other places. So you have extra picks over the next couple of years. You have a ton of cap space that's going to be opened. So if you need to re-sign Agba because he had another good year this year, if you need to re-sign Gesicki, you can do these kind of things and still have cap space and flexibility, which is why I think the Dolphins this year will kind of establish themselves, get back into the playoffs, and I think next year they make a Super Bowl run because now guys are experienced. They've gone through it now for several years, and they've progressively gotten better in the time. And I think the following year, that's when you make your Super Bowl run, and that's when Greer and Flo look at each other and say, all right, we need to add one or two more pieces. We need this or that. Let's go get it in free agency, and let's end this thing, and let's go get a championship. But I love the fact that they're always forward thinking, and whether it's draft picks, whether it's contracts that are team friendly contracts, it's aggressiveness also in making trades for players. It's trying to steal somebody off somebody else's practice squad. It's trading for an Adam Shaheen because the Chicago Bears have 87 tight ends and they've got to get rid of them. So Miami cherry picks that kid. And yeah, whatever, anti-vaxxer, but the dude can play ball. So you find guys. And that's what I love about this team. They will find undrafted free agents. They will find draftees. They will find free agents. They will find people off your practice squad. They will make trades. They'll find a Seiler off of Baltimore and steal him and make him a player in for you. They will find a Van Ginkel in the 5th round. All of these things, they're showing me that they know how to build a football team. You know, you're starting 2 running backs. One's a 7th rounder and the other guy's a street free agent. And we all like Gaskins and Ahmed. Now, do we consider them to be the upper echelon of running backs? No, but they're damn good players already. They've got a role. Gaskins can run, can catch. Ahmed looks like he is a danger as a receiver coming out of the backfield. And you didn't spend a lot. Next year, maybe with your cap space, you might go get a free agent. You might draft a running back really high. We'll see. But the story that, you know, coming out, how the Dolphins have a ton of flexibility, think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Think about the fact that you got a shot at winning, let's say, 11 games this year. Let's say you go 11-6 and you make the playoffs. You now have won back-to-back double-digit seasons, 21 wins in the last 2 years. You've had a ton of draft picks. You have more draft picks coming, and you have a ton of cap space. If that's not great management of your team, I don't know what is. Because now you've got the flexibility when you come in at the fork on the road next year. After this season, you get to a fork on the road and you look at each other, and Greer and Flo are sitting down going, all right, what are we? Well, we're a Super Bowl caliber team. All right, we got the money. We got some picks. What do we do? Let's find the players we need. Hey, we need this one lineman. We need this position here. We need this guy here. We need a running back. All right, now we've got the options. We've got money to go buy it. We've got picks to draft it. We've got picks to trade for it. We've got ways of doing it, and we've got cap space. So we're not going into a season where we're going to be favored. We're going to have an opportunity to go deep into the playoffs, possibly the Super Bowl, but we don't have the hurdles of problems off the field, lack of draft picks, lack of money, lack of a game plan. None of that ever lacks. It's awesome. And to me, when I saw that story about all the cap space they can possibly have next year, it's way more than just that, the way they're managing this stuff. And that's why I look at it and I say, this is why I feel good about these guys. For years, I talked to you guys about how it's one stupid contract after another. I remember, you know, when they signed Ndamukong Suh, and again, this is kind of part of it. Some of you were so excited about Suh, the fan, the fanatical one, right? And meanwhile, the second they signed Suh, I said, what? Those of you that follow me, stupid contract, doesn't help. You're not even close to a Super Bowl. Why would you sign Ndamukong Suh? I'm going to sign Ndamukong Suh to shore up my run defense and slightly help out with pass rush because that's not what he is. But that's because I'm an Ndamukong Suh or 2 players away from a title. You don't do it. And plus, it hurt you re-signing others because of that massive salary. And then when you cut them, it hurts you because it was 2 years of dead money, and it's 19 and 13 million of cap space that you couldn't use. So if you wanted to use that cap space, you would have to then mortgage the future again. That's another thing they're not doing here. There's no mortgaging cap space in the future. F that, dude. The cap space that you have in the future is to use it to get better, not to mortgage it. So that's the reason why when I look at a Joe Philbin, I wasn't on board. I had the information from the Green Bay building. When they signed Ndamukong Suh, I wasn't on board because I knew he wasn't going to change any defense. Because Detroit had years where they sucked and they were good, and they sucked and they were good on defense with Ndamukong Suh. But nobody looks at that because a defensive tackle that isn't Aaron Donald or Warren Sapp, you're not going to make that kind of an impact. And he was never the pass rusher that Donald and Sapp are. Never was, never will be, never is going to be. So why would you sign him to that kind of a contract? It's kind of like watching Inter Miami sign, and I know I'm kind of losing some of you because you don't follow soccer, but when you sign Blaise Matuidi as one of your, international spots, you're an idiot. You're a freaking dumbass. Why would you sign a defensive midfielder for a spot that you only sign people to score goals with those 3 spots? You don't sign a defender. Stupid contract. Terrible contract. So there you go. So when I see this story about cap space, I'm just incredibly happy that Chris Greer finally got the opportunity. And you and I, Dolphin Nation, those of us that love the Alquin Orange, we're finally going to benefit from this. Finally, after all the mismanagement, you have a guy that gets it and manages it the right way and keeps his team flexible year in and year out to be incredibly competitive. Freaking awesome. That's all I can tell you.